A single survivor of a post-apocalyptic world named Juliet battles hunger, thirst, a broken leg and odd, unsettling monsters that only emerge at night in order to survive. The film begins in a post-apocalyptic planet that has been devastated for an unidentified reason. With so few people left, the once thriving mankind has been completely destroyed. Our main character, Juliet, who is traveling through a bleak city, is one of them. She is a member of a 30-person clan that has endured the challenging circumstances. Juliet is now searching for any edible materials. A gun and a photo of the woman and her ex-boyfriend Jack are both visible inside the van. He doesn't seem to have survived the end of the world. After some time, Juliet walks into an abandoned petrol station in search of something useful. She cautiously enters, prepared to shoot whatever is up ahead. When Juliet is unable to locate anything, she chooses to take a brief break. Her slumber is abruptly interrupted by a growling noise emanating from the second floor. The noise terrifies Juliet, who dashes to her van and departs right away. It is obvious that something ominous and terrifying resides in this post-apocalyptic landscape. In the following scenario, Juliet speaks with Harry, the head of her tribe. She responds negatively when he asks if she learned anything beneficial. Then he orders her to avoid harm and return as soon as possible to their covert location. Since her van's batteries are running low, Juliet agrees and cuts the call short before continuing. She passes an RV on the way and discovers a man inside who has been fatally injured. He begs her to put an end to his suffering as he draws his final breaths. Juliet rejects his proposal, saying that she doesn't want to use up her ammunition on him. The man responds in the affirmative when she asks if there is food inside the RV. However, he also informs her that the monster, also referred to as the Reaper, is imprisoned inside. When Juliet hears this, she muses for a while before deciding to walk inside. As soon as she walks in, there are a couple gunshots, and the windows break. Although Juliet has killed the vicious Reaper, when she goes outdoors, the poor man has already passed away. Juliet then gets all his stuff, puts them in her van, and drives off. She appears to be rushing as she travels because it is discovered that the Reapers only emerge at night. They avoid direct sunlight and spend the most of the day in the shade. A sudden wind gust causes Juliet's picture to be suddenly blown away as she is driving. Her momentary distraction from this results in her van losing control and flipping over many times. The crash knocks Juliet unconscious, and the picture then cuts to a memory. Juliet is depicted in an art exhibition a number of years prior to the apocalypse. Jack, the business's owner, approaches her and tries to strike up a discussion. Juliet, however, seems unimpressed and states that she is only there for the food and the rain. Jack doesn't seem to mind, so he exhibits a painting and requests that she carefully study it. When Juliet calls it unattractive, Jack rebukes her, telling her to look into its inner beauty. Because everything is artificial, they become more at ease with one another as they converse further. Jack unexpectedly invites Juliet to visit his home after the exhibit is over. The latter concurs without giving it much thought, and the two proceed. When Juliet gets there, she is shocked by how opulent his residence seems. After that, Jack offers her some wine and cheese, and they continue talking. She becomes skeptical of Jack's intentions as he begins to inquire about her personal life, so she quickly leaves. The two run into each other again that night. This time, she is with another man when Jack spots her in a bar. She unexpectedly hands him some narcotics, and reveals that she is a dealer. Later, a very interested Jack follows her to her apartment, and finds out that things are pretty awful for her. She shares an extremely cramped apartment with other narcotic dealers. Finally noticing Jack, Juliet gets upset and starts berating him. She rejects Jack's attempts to comfort her and his offer to assist her. Jack finally understands Juliet is an addict after she administers a substance directly into her veins. Thus, he departs the location in disappointment. After a few weeks, Juliet unexpectedly shows up at his flat with a bruise. Jack starts attending to her wounds without even asking her what happened. After cleaning her off, he gives her a place to relax in his room. Juliet wakes up the following morning feeling better and joins Jack for breakfast. When they are finished, Juliet asks to go outside for a moment, saying she needs some fresh air. Jack is aware that she is compelled to inject the chemical once more. He closes every door, angering Juliet in the process. She starts breaking various items in his room, while pleading with him to let her go. Jack, though, simply allows her to vent her rage. He hugs her tightly and kisses her after she settles down. Their tragic and heartbreaking relationship officially begins with this. A few weeks later, Jack purchases a beautiful home that he believes is ideal for Juliet on the outskirts of the city. She experiences some trepidation as they move in together, because this is a major life change for her. In response, Jack tenderly strokes her face and promises to be by her side constantly. Later on, he takes her on a tour of the area and says that this is where their future offspring will be raised. As usual, Juliet is dubious since she's not sure if she's ready to become a mother, but Jack assures her that their relationship is what matters most. Surely, they can make it work. His prediction comes true, as Juliet falls pregnant only a few months after he made it. He is delighted when she tells him the news. Unfortunately, things rapidly take a bad turn when Juliet's prior narcotic usage causes the baby to be stillborn. The couple's relationship is significantly impacted by this, and Juliet experiences a relapse. Jack still puts up with her, and always tries to make her feel better because he is the ideal boyfriend. However, he ultimately loses it one evening. Jack has grown weary of Juliet leaving the house every day to visit her narcotic-using acquaintances. In a flash of wrath, he resolves to ditch her, get out of the car, and take the train. A news program informs that there was a devastating chemical attack in the subway, which has claimed the lives of more than 30 people. Hours later, while Juliet is enjoying drinks in a pub, when Juliet realizes Jack was in the same train, she becomes frightened. Consequently, she runs to see him right away. In the following scene, Juliet enters the medical facility where Jack has been admitted to the intensive care unit. The chemical assault damaged his trachea and larynx, rendering him speechless. Juliet apologizes and approaches his room, which is isolated from the rest of the house by a substantial sheet of plastic. Jack responded by writing his feelings on a whiteboard using a marker. He tells her that he loves her and implores her to never give up even in this dire situation. Juliet is encouraged that he will live as a result. She is saddened to learn that Jack died as a result of his injuries when she enters his room the next morning. The scene then cuts to the present, when Juliet has just about recovered consciousness. A bone seems to be protruding from her leg, and she feels a searing agony. And to make matters worse, she can see her gun from a few feet away. Juliet worries that the Reapers would eat her alive, because it is already nighttime, so she makes the decision to act independently. Juliet struggles mightily to get her leg out from behind the steering wheel. She follows that by forcing her broken bone back into position, cleaning the wound with alcohol, and wrapping herself in a tourniquet. Although the pain is unbearable, it is her only chance of surviving. The signal is too faint for Juliet to call Harry after that, so she grabs her radio. She hastily grabs her revolver and hides inside the van after hearing footsteps swiftly heading her direction. The Reaper is then finally revealed to us. The legs resemble those of a human being with malformed legs. From beneath the van, Juliet anxiously observes, hoping the Reaper won't notice her, but regrettably, Harry contacts her at the same moment, setting off her radio. She hurls the radio into the trash in a fit of rage to divert the animal. Although Juliet feels confident that she will be located, good luck to her. The Reaper hears something off in the distance and moves on. Juliet throws some glow sticks outdoors after a while to see if the Reapers are nearby. She advances cautiously forward when she doesn't see anyone, and is still oblivious to her surroundings. Juliet spins around as soon as she hears a noise, and sees the Grim Reaper perched atop her van. She fires at it once out of fear before running back into the van to hide. She waits for the thing to approach while aiming her gun at it, but Juliet is completely unprepared when the Reaper swings the window cover off from behind. It looks entirely distorted, as if the flesh had melted off its face. When Juliet tries unsuccessfully to free herself, she starts the automobile and steps on the gas. Fortunately, the wheels begin to turn, injuring the monster and forcing it to temporarily escape. Following the near miss, Juliet fixes her radio and calls Harry. She urgently informs him that she is in the middle of nowhere being attacked by a Reaper. Harry offers to come for assistance, but he will need to know precisely where she is. He then requests that she activate the beacon that is housed inside the van. When Juliet follows instructions, the gadget eventually functions. She notices the Reaper is back when she turns to look. It attacks her fatally, but Juliet activates the headlights just in time, prompting the Reaper to flee in anguish. After that, Harry calls her once more and explains that he has found out where she is, but regrettably, it's extremely risky right now, so he won't be able to get there until the morning. When Juliet discovers she is suddenly on her own, she is saddened. Later, she hears a car approaching, so she frantically honks the horn in request for assistance. When a man hears it, he walks over to her van. He turns out to be a cannibal, which is unfortunate. He attempts to stab Juliet after being forced inside the vehicle, but just then, the Reaper appears. It drags the man out in a frightening manner and kills him. Juliet considers doing the unimaginable as the Reaper devours the cannibal. She then recalls Jack's parting advice, in which he urged her to never give up. She decides to fight back since this gives her the drive to live. In a last-ditch attempt to save herself, Juliet pulls out 2 fuel canisters. The Reaper is then drawn to her by waving a flare that she has just lit. When it finally arrives, she directs it to the gas canisters. Then, Juliet carefully fires at him, setting them off. To her dismay, though, the crafty Reaper is able to flee without being hurt. After that, the two start fighting. For some reason, despite carrying Juliet around, the Reaper never hurts her. She takes advantage of this and shoots it again from a close distance, appearing to kill it. But the Reaper seems to be alive when the sun finally comes up. Again, Juliet tries to fire at it, but she is out of ammunition. The Reaper leaps on top of her as she hastily reloads her gun. Juliet realizes at last that the creature is none other than Jack, the love of her life, when it softly touches her face. All along, his primary goal had been to be close to her and spend time with her. He still feels the same way he did for Juliet, despite being a monster now. In a state of intense emotion, Juliet remembers the moment Jack asked her to look at the painting in a flashback. Given that everything is artificial, he had advised her to focus on her inner attractiveness. In the present, Juliet tells Jack she loves him a lot while breaking down in tears. Then, in a tragic conclusion, she shoots both of them with her gun. Subscribe for more content like this. Don't forget to turn on notifications and leave a like to support the channel. Thank you for watching.